Welcome to the March 2022 Phoenix Metro Area Real Estate Market Update. I'm Beth Riebenstorr, founder of the Reby Homes team, and I'm happy to share the latest about our local and national housing market, including home price appreciation, supply, and the big one, is there a crash around the corner? Well, it's hard to believe that 2 years ago, a worldwide pandemic hit and fundamentally changed a lot of what we do, including housing, especially home price appreciation. In 2020, CoreLogic reported a 6% home price appreciation for the year. Prior to the pandemic, well, a normal year of home price appreciation was about 3.8%. So 6% is really significant. In 2021, home price appreciation will have more than doubled, largely due to supply and demand. There are more buyers in the market than homes available. The question every month is, are home prices still accelerating? Well, we can see the year over year price increases by month, going all the way back to January of 2021. Home prices increased by 10%. Then, as you can see, month over month, it accelerated throughout the year. The summer months of July and August, well, it started to level out at about 18%. Now, that 18% figure is what triggers the conversations and headlines about home prices decelerating, meaning still an increase, but just at a slower pace. So we saw that 18% hold steady for a while. And then in December and January of 2022, we see that green bar is showing that home prices are starting to tick back up. Again, a direct result of continued high buyer demand and continued low supply. A look at this on a state by state basis shows changes in prices in the last year from FHFA. It shows that the national average is 17.5% for home price appreciation last year. Some states were higher, some states were lower, but across the board, not a single state reported depreciation. Home prices rose throughout the country. Here's what that looks like with data for the past 5 years. The national average over the last 5 years was 54.5%. Year after year, home price appreciation has increased and then exploded in 2021. Even more interesting is a look at the past 30 years. So, changes in prices since 1991. The national average for home price appreciation is 258%. The question many have voiced is now a good time to buy a home? Am I buying at the top of the market? Is my home investment going to be a valuable one? Well, looking over the past 30 years and for the past 5 years, if you could go back and buy a house in 1991, would you do it? Would you have bought in 2016? Well, home prices have definitely appreciated in value and historically have been a very strong investment. And that brings us to the next question. What's going to happen throughout the rest of this year? Well, here's a look at the 7 key entities who forecast home prices throughout the rest of the year. When you average them together, you see the green bar that they project roughly 6.1% appreciation throughout the rest of this year. CoreLogic is on the high end with 9.6%. Zelman's on the low end right now with about 3%. The important point is all of the experts are saying that home values are projected to continue increasing throughout this year. It's important to consider the supply and demand balance because that's what determines where home prices will go. Right now, we're squarely in a seller's market. Essentially, it means more buyers in the market than homes that are available for sale. Buyers are competing for homes, and that drives prices up. It's the simple law of supply and demand. So, what will cause prices to decline? Well, the opposite of what is currently occurring. What would have to occur is more homes for sale than buyers that are wanting to buy. A look at the number of listings in the market puts that into perspective. New listings, well, they're falling dramatically right now. This shows 2021 month by month, new listings coming onto the market in thousands. On the right side is October, November, December. Listings really started to decline once again. So, not as many listings coming to the market toward the end of the year, which is pretty typical for the housing market because we generally see listings softening in the winter and then picking up back in the early spring. So we're at this historically low inventory already, and active listings are dropping yet again. There simply are not enough homes on the market. And the ones that do come on the market, well, they don't stay active as listings because they're sold so quickly. The supply and demand law does not change. Anytime we see low inventory like this, prices rise. Yet people remember what happened when the housing market crashed. They remember prices skyrocketing. This study from Realtor.com shows that worries about a housing bubble, well, they still persist. 77% of consumers surveyed, well, they feel like there's a housing bubble in their market. That's 3 out of every 4 people feel like there's this bubble that's about to burst. It's human nature to wonder if circumstances are the same today as they were during the housing bubble, and it's well worth looking into the data to speak to that. Let's start with factor number 1, inventory. The supply of homes today, well, it's nothing like the last time during the housing crisis. Compare on the left side the 4 years of the housing crash, and on the right side, the past 4 years. The orange bars on the left showed it was a buyer's market. We had an oversupply of homes. The national average was a 9.6 month supply of inventory in 2007, 9.4 in 2008, significantly higher and not even close to where we are today. The blue bars, well, they showed 2018 to 2021. Even in 2018, when we had a 3.7 month supply of inventory. Then we see 2020 and 2021. Clearly, not enough homes to go around. So, when there aren't enough homes on the market, it drives prices up. So, that's factor number 1, inventory, which is completely different from the time of the housing crisis. And factor number 2 is buyer demand. We had a record high, a 15-year record of existing home sales in 2021. You can see 2019 was 5.4 million sales, and then we broke that record in 2020 at 5.6 million, and 2021 just crushed it with 6.1 million homes sold in this country. Factor number 3 is the credit health of buyers back then compared to now. This shows the volume of loans in billions with a credit score of less than 620. So take a look at those orange bars, 2003 to 2007. Significantly more loans issued to buyers who had a credit score less than 620. From 2008 to 2021, you can see that lending standards, well, they've gotten much tighter. Home buyers today are much healthier credit wise due to the changes in lender criteria, including credit scores and debt to income ratios. The lender standard of percentage of mortgage debt to disposable personal income is much lower than it was in 2007 when there were the zero down payment loans and the interest only loans. In fact, it's the lowest it's ever been going all the way back to 1980. Very different lending standards are creating a landscape that is nothing like the last time. That brings us to factor number 4, which is equity. Homeowners have significantly more equity today, so they're in a much better financial position than homeowners back in the housing crisis. The amount of home equity that was cashed out prior to the crash, so the years of 2005, 6, and 7, was $824 billion. Now, the previous 3 years to now, 2017, 18, 19, cash out refinances, well, they totaled only 247 billion. And today, 42% of all homes, well, they're owned free and clear, while 58.7% of all homes have at least 60% equity. And factor number 5 is the worry about a foreclosure crisis. And the data here, well, it's quite clear that that's not what we're headed for. We will not see a wave of inventory coming to the market that would significantly tip the scales into a buyer's market. There just aren't enough homes going into foreclosure. And we're very grateful for that because that means more and more people where they're staying in their homes. So, virtually all of the factors that drive the housing market, well, they are materially different today than they were during the housing crisis. Factor number 1, inventory. Factor number 2, buyer demand. Factor number 3, the credit health of buyers and the improved standards from lenders. Factor number 4, the amount of equity that homeowners have in their homes. And factor number 5 is the leading indicator of potential foreclosure volumes. Well, that's our real estate market update for March 2022. If you have any detailed questions about your situation or someone you're trying to help, of course, give us a call. We're here when you need us.